Welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Dr. Jeff Musgrave, proudly serving the older adult division. Super pumped to be back with you for part 3 of our Geri programming hacks. I hope you found these helpful. Let's get into it. So, we're going to be talking today about how using a clock can help make your sessions a little bit easier, more efficient. Some things that we love about using a clock is providing structure for your session, controlling rest breaks, and then making it a lot easier to adjust intensity during sessions. So let's get into this. So, structure, how long will this take? So, if I'm going to give you an example of 3 rounds for time, pretty common structure. We're going to do 3 rounds of a workout. We've got, say, 5 deadlifts, partial range of motion, 20 suitcase marches, 5 up downs to countertop. So, like, think getting into a plank position from an elevated surface, if you're not familiar with those, countertop push up, and then bent over rows. So, we've got 5 different movements. We'll probably take a rest at the end of that and then go back through it, which pretty common structure, right? We're going to go through these different movements. We're going to create a circuit to make this interesting and do some upper, some lower body, some balance, some core strengthening. But how long will that take? Completely depends, right? It may take, 5, 6 minutes per round, could be 15 minutes. If your patient has questions, if they're chatting, if they get tired, that could take 20, 30 minutes, right? We don't really have any control here when we don't have a clock running to mark a start and an end point for each movement. We end up just having this free form. We do this and we do this and we do this. And we've really lost control of our session. So we also like this for controlling our intensity to kind of take back our time in the session. If we can make our workout component for our time with our patients more efficient, we can control intensity. If we're controlling our rest, we can control intensity, which is great because we know by and large for most of our clients, we need to get them to high intensity. There are cerebral blood flow benefits, VO2 max benefits. We know just by and large, we're going to get more bang for our buck if we can push a higher intensity with our clients. It also, if we get more time in our session, we've got time to recheck asterisk signs if we're working with someone who has pain on board. We've got time to review a home exercise program, try to figure out how well someone's recovering, their sleep habits, their sleep hygiene, their nutrition, all these things that it seems like we just don't have enough time in session to do. We get the opportunity to get those things back if we can set a clock. And I'll give you some more benefits and examples of what this can look like in your session if we start using a clock if you're not currently. So I've got an example of, we've got the same movements, deadlift, marches, countertop, push up, down, bent over row, and then some rest, like a rest minute. And we could put the same movements in the same order with the same rep scheme and change the structure and add a clock and get some wildly different workouts here. So 3 rounds for time going through that. No control over our pace, no real control over how long that's going to take or the rest going from one to the next. That all changes if we turn this into an EMOM. So EMOM stands for every minute on the minute. Minute 1, we could do our deadlift. So you've got 60 seconds to do 5 deadlifts. The rest of the time is your rest. So we've got some built-in rest in there. We could do the same thing with the suitcase marches, 20 suitcase marches. You've got a minute for that, a minute for our up downs, a minute for our push ups, a minute for the bent over rows, and then we could add a rest minute in. We know exactly how long that workout is going to take, right? It's going to take exactly 18 minutes. We've got a little bit of rest peppered in, and we've got a number of reps has been prescribed. So that can be really helpful. I don't know about you all, but it can be tough to stop a conversation when we're in session with our patient, but it's nice when that clock interrupts us, right? That was the clock, time to get started. So that's using reps in an EMOM. Another example, maybe we don't want to define the reps. We're more interested in modulating how much time they're working, how much time they're resting from an intensity standpoint for the cardiovascular system. So maybe instead of 5 deadlifts, we're going to have them work on deadlifts for 30 seconds and then give them 30 seconds of rest. And then during the second minute, we're going to work on suitcase marches for 30 seconds and then have 30 seconds of rest. So each movement, we're getting the same amount of time working, but the reps will vary. So two different ways to do this. If we want to define the exact number of reps, maybe we've got someone that we're working with who is very sensitive. Their symptoms are sensitive with adding too many reps all at once. Or maybe it's more of a pacing problem for someone that has aerobic capacity loss. And really, the most important thing for us to focus on is how much time they're working and building in the exact amount of rest they need to be able to continue going because maybe they're not great at pacing yet. So the rep version or work rest ratio are two different ways we could set up an EMOM to help control our time, control our rest, help our clients pace, and own the total number of time our workouts are going to take. We could do yet the same movements again, same order, define the number of reps for each movement, but we could change the structure to an AMRAP, as many rounds or reps as possible. In this case, we'll set an 18-minute clock just to keep it the same as our other two examples with our EMOM for reps or EMOMs for work rest. Now we've got 18 minutes to work, but we've added a minute of rest at the end. So the nice thing is with an AMRAP versus our rounds for time, we have control of the clock. We know how long the workout is going to take. So it's time controlled. Rest has been added in at the end of each round, but the pace is not controlled, right? The patient is in control of their pace, how long it takes them to get through the movements to get to that rest break. So our patients that aren't very motivated may take a lot of time. Like, man, I can just go really slow through this and make this a 1 round workout or a round and a half workout. So our patients who aren't as motivated could struggle with this format and maybe not get in the desired effect. We may not hit the stimulus of getting through this. We're like, man, we're trying to control our rests and go directly from one movement to the other so we can control our intensity. So we're getting to that high intensity stimulus for our cardiovascular system. But on the other hand, if we've got someone who really likes to get after it, they are very motivated, and maybe they're going to blow through this workout like 6 times, right? They're going to sprint through as many reps as they can, and there's someone who is sensitive to high volume. This also could shoot us in the foot in our session. So adding a clock controls your rest, but you also want to be mindful of which structure is right for your patient. And what does the patient need? Do they need structure so that they're not resting too much? Do we need the clock to force them to rest for someone who's super motivated? Are we concerned about the total number of reps? Are they sensitive to higher volume? And we need to really control the rest so they don't get out their nose over their skis, right? Where they're going to get in trouble and end up with a flare up. Or is it more of a pacing issue? And we need to modulate the cardiovascular intensity for them and make them rest a certain amount each minute. Any of these can help you control the clock, but they're not always the best for your person. You need to be mindful of what's the most important thing for us to control. Is it the reps? Is it the pacing? Is it the effort? And then pick your structure based on those things. But all of these will help you get your time back during session, which I think is really valuable for most of us. So considerations here when we're looking at AMRAP or our two different versions of the EMOM is adjusting our reps for adjusting intensity. So we know if we need to control the total volume on our EMOM, that's easy. We just add more reps. If we need to add intensity, we can add load. And particularly during that rest minute, it gives us a nice opportunity to reflect, did that go how we thought it would? And then make some adjustments on the fly. Like, hey, Betty, that was way too hard. I'm sorry. We need to cut some reps down because I intended for you to have some rest. When we're doing an EMOM where we're asking them to do a certain number of reps. So we can easily adjust the reps up and down. We can easily adjust the weight. When it comes to the AMRAP, we can also adjust the reps up or down on a particular movement. Maybe a movement is taking them longer than you expect. Simply adjust that down, or we can adjust the weight, but we don't have as much pacing control there. Consideration for our EMOM when we're using a work rest ratio, like 30 seconds of work on the deadlift, 30 seconds of rest, really easy to adjust once again. Once we've introduce the structure of an EMOM, we can easily say, "Oh, I want you to that was way too easy. Like you're you're clearly not out of breath. I can tell this is too easy for you. My bad. We'll make that a little more challenging. So now we're going to work 40 seconds of deadlifts, 20 seconds of rest, 40 seconds of suitcase marches, 20 seconds of rest, or vice versa. Maybe we've got a very deconditioned sedentary older adult, and really 15 seconds is plenty. They're in position. We're not losing time in transitions. 15 seconds of them working, they need 45 seconds of rest for your super deconditioned client. But just something to consider. Adjusting and modulating intensity once we have someone on the clock is very simple to do by adding reps, reducing reps, or changing the work rest ratio during each minute. Those are really the things that I want you to take away from this. So, using a clock provides structure for your session to reclaim your time. It gives you a starting place for adjustment during each minute or during that block of time you've defined for your workout. Controlling rest breaks helps you control your time during a session. We don't have these endless stories at the end of a round and getting cups of water every time, which I feel like sometimes we do because, we just want to be kind to our patients, right? But can bleed a lot of time during our sessions. And then adjusting intensity is really important for us. If we want our patients to get the desired stimulus to force some cardiovascular intensity, we don't have that option if we're not using a clock. So I hope you found this series that I've done helpful. If you missed episode 1, that was on March 11th, that was focused on warm-ups and equipment choices. Episode 2 was on April 8th, how to be a master scale to reduce time and effort in your programming. So we're not building a brand new program each time. And then I hope that using a clock will help you reclaim some of your time during your sessions. Team, if you've got any questions, comments, need some clarifications, I love circling back to answer questions here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you next time.